What's up guys, my name is Ace, and next week, Season 2 for Battlefield 6 is finally arriving, and yesterday we got some information on the higher level things that we can expect for the season. Keeping in mind, they also stated we are going to be seeing the full roadmap and patch notes later in the week, so likely on Friday. But today, I wanted to go over the details that they have shared so far, and just share my thoughts as we go. And diving right in, content-wise, of course, we are going to be seeing the new map, Contaminated. That's going to be coming at the launch of the season. And then they also mentioned later in the season, there will be a new high-intensity map and a limited-time mode that will require players to battle through an underground base covered in darkness. So when it comes to map content, we're only getting one map at launch and then one mid-season. And then, of course, we know we are expecting gold mode as well in a future season, likely Season 3. But unfortunately, that's it for maps. Now, of course, on top of that, we will be seeing new weapons, but we'll be going over all of that once we get the official roadmap. Instead, I wanted to focus primarily on the key areas of improvement that they outlined in yesterday's post. And the first section they shared is a list of progression improvements. With this, we're going to be seeing broader challenge parameters, and they mentioned they'll be streamlining challenges by reducing the emphasis on highly mode-specific challenges. They're going to be removing the daily sidearm challenge from regular rotation, and they'll be expanding criteria like allowing assists to count towards daily challenges. So basically, they're just aiming to make the daily challenges more accessible to anybody that wants to play any mode and with any gun, it seems like. So you're not pigeonholed into playing a specific mode that you maybe don't really want to play, or having to force yourself to use pistols, for instance, to get kills on a consistent basis when you really don't want to be going into a gunfight with a pistol. On top of that, there's going to be a faster Battle Pass for Season 2, and they mentioned they'll be recalculating how Battle Pass tokens are earned from Career XP, which will allow you to earn progress more quickly through regular gameplay and weekly challenges. After that, for the RedSec players out there, they're going to be boosting Career XP and Weapon XP earn rates in order to help progression feel more balanced between RedSec and Battlefield 6 multiplayer. And then finally for this section, they mentioned a career reward rebalance. And with this, they say career and battle pass boosters will be added to some earlier career ranks, particularly to better support players who focus on RedSec. And this change helps progression feel meaningful, even when standard career unlocks such as gadgets, throwables, and loadout slots don't provide direct benefits in Battle Royale or Gauntlet. Now, I do wonder if these boosters will be provided to players that have already leveled through those early career ranks, or if it's just for people that haven't leveled those up yet. I would hope that everybody gains access to these as long as they've hit those career ranks. But time will have to tell on that one, and that's it for the section on progression improvements. And in my eyes, as nice as all of this sounds, I'm not really opposed to any of these changes that they've outlined here. At the end of the day, I think they're missing the biggest area that needs improvement when it comes to progression, at least in my eyes. And I know this is a widespread issue among many people in the community, or people that were previously in the community that have just left and are playing different games now. This is weapon progression. Well, yes, they did mention they're improving weapon progression in RedSec in particular. There's no mention of weapon progression getting any better for multiplayer, and I think that's a big mistake, as I know this is an area that has pushed so many people away from the game, and I see people constantly mentioning the only thing that's going to bring them back is more reasonable weapon progression, so they feel like they can actually experience everything the game has to offer within a reasonable amount of time. And I'm not going to get too deep into this topic because I've made an entire video focusing directly on this, and I have mentioned it many times in the past, but I think this is a huge missed opportunity, and I was very disappointed to see in this progression section no mention of weapon progression improvements on the multiplayer side of things. So already off to a pretty bad start here, in my eyes at least. Next, they talked about weapon balance and recoil improvements. They mentioned recoil compensation has been made fully consistent, resulting in more predictable and reliable weapon handling. So it looks like they're going to be eliminating a lot of the randomness with the recoil, and instead it's going to follow a very consistent, predictable recoil path. And I'm always a big fan of that, especially if you're going to have spread in the game, at least make the recoil as consistent as possible, so that is going to be the same every single time. But then on top of that, they say automatic weapons will receive a broad tuning pass to reinforce role clarity and ensure weapons feel appropriately distinct across different combat distances. And this sounds promising. This is an area where I feel weapon balance is not necessarily bad, but it's just boring. There's not enough variety there within a weapon category, and I just feel like the weapons often lack distinct character. And so from the sounds of this, it looks like they're going to be making things at least a little more interesting when it comes to weapon balance. And again, I think that sounds promising. I'm really looking forward to seeing the patch notes later in the week to see exactly what they're planning on doing here. Then after that, for player movement, they mentioned soldier movement will be improved to feel more predictable and readable in fast-paced combat, and this includes updated acceleration curves, smoother vaulting and ladder transitions, and fixes that reduced visual inconsistencies or unexpected behavior during traversal and close quarters interactions. And that's all quite general. Of course, I'll have to wait to see what this actually ends up looking like in-game, but from the sounds of it, at least on paper, I do like the sounds of this. I know some of the animations in the game can be very jarring as far as characters almost like skipping because certain animation transitions just happen so instantly, and if they're just smoothing things out here, that sounds great. I'm hoping they're not like nerfing movement into the ground here, but that doesn't sound like what they're describing here. Instead, it just seems like they're going to be making things a little more smooth and consistent, and that sounds great to me. Now finally, for the things that they mentioned here that we can expect for the Season 2 update, they mentioned audio improvements, and they just said audio will be polished to improve clarity and readability during matches, and this includes clearer cues for movement and interactions to help with positioning, better handling of overlapping sounds, that's a key one, and more dependable playback of critical audio in busy combat scenarios. That one's also very important. And then they just said continued refinements and improvements are already in the works for later in the season as well. And that's good to hear. Honestly, on the multiplayer side of things, I don't have too many audio-related issues. I do know on the RedSec side, while I haven't played RedSec at all lately, I know this has been a major issue, especially with vehicles just not playing any audio at all until they're right on top of you. That's clearly a big problem over there. But for multiplayer, generally speaking, the audio's been quite good for me. I'm hearing footsteps just fine. I'm hearing vehicles just fine. But of course, I'm open to them optimizing and improving this as much as possible. And there we go. That wraps it up for the general areas they mentioned that we can expect with the launch of Season 2. On top of that, though, they did talk about some things they're looking at going forward as well. So they have a section just discussing ongoing development focus. So these are things to look at beyond the launch of Season 2. And some current areas for improvement that are in active development include hit registration and netcode improvements. Obviously, I'll take as much of that as we can get. Ongoing recoil review, so I'm sure that's going to just be depending on how the recoil changes go with the launch of Season 2. They're going to be adjusting from there. The ping system for map locations, and additional audio improvements. For all of this, they're going to be testing in Battlefield Labs, and then we should be seeing some updates and improvements later on in Season 2, as well as beyond Season 2. Now finally, as far as the important things go as they relate to multiplayer, because that's my primary focus here, they did mention a few other things they're planning on testing in Battlefield Labs soon. And one of those is testing some time to kill tuning with a focus on improving combat readability and consistency. And they mentioned the goal of this work is to require stronger aim accuracy and firing discipline in order to achieve the fastest time to kill. So as part of this work, they're looking at elements such as limb multipliers, headshot damage, and the cost of ammunition types that enhance headshot effectiveness. And I have made a video talking about this idea of introducing limb multipliers. I'm totally on board with some headshot adjustments and also ammunition adjustments as they relate to headshot effectiveness. When it comes to limb multipliers, I'm a little more skeptical. I'm open to trying it out, and maybe it will be a great improvement, but I think there are some potential downsides that come with that, especially with the current state of hit detection in the game. I fear that this may end up introducing more inconsistency in general in gunfights, but time will have to tell on that. They're going to be testing in Battlefield Labs, and then likely making a decision from there for where they want to go with the live version of the game. And there we have it. That's going to wrap it up for all of the important information I wanted to cover in today's video. And when it comes to my thoughts on all of this, while of course we haven't seen the full patch notes yet and full content roadmap, we're going to be getting that later in the week. And of course, I'll be able to better judge things once we have all that. Based on what I'm seeing here, this did leave me feeling quite disappointed after reading through this. I really thought we were going to be seeing more, especially after quite a long delay for Season 2. My expectations were a little higher, and part of that goes along with the content as well. Only getting one map at launch and then another one mid-season, it just doesn't feel like enough. And this is coming from somebody that's still enjoying this game. I like this game, but I want what's best for it as well. I want it to succeed. And so I did have high hopes that this update would be a big, exciting update that would actually generate quite a bit of interest and get people excited to come back to the game. For all those people that have fallen off and they're just playing other games now, I was really hoping I'd be reading things with this post that would be like, yes, that's definitely going to bring players back. They're going to be really excited to hop into this game again, and it may even keep them around long term. But based on what I'm seeing here, it's basically just a handful of minor improvements that do look like good improvements, but not really enough to generate a lot of hype and bring players back into the game. And while, of course, I am looking forward to the new season and some of these improvements they're making and finally getting access to a new map, at the end of the day, I can't say I'm particularly hyped for this update. My mindset is more so, finally, we're getting a little bit of something for this game. And for one of the best-selling games of the year last year that was incredibly successful at launch and has a ton of resources behind it, my expectations for a season, especially a delayed season, are simply higher than what we're seeing here so far. Now, of course, those are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about these things that they outlined in yesterday's post regarding Season 2. Are you guys really looking forward to the new season? Do you feel like it's going to be enough, or maybe not so much? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.